Welcome to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hour. Reach Roy at 615-843-2999 or visit roymatlockjr.com. And now, here's Roy.
All right, we're getting started once again and talking money like we do every weekend. And if you're tuning in, you can also visit roymatlockjr.com and listen to some of the previous shows. If you need to go to sleep at night, you just turn me on and write off the podcast, and I will put you to sleep talking all this good money stuff. But anyway, today's show is going to be very important. And the reason I'm doing the show, I was in Florida and, I was down there playing golf. I took 4 days and played golf. And then I was getting ready to come home. And that's when the storm hit Nashville, all of the ice and all of the electrical outage and everything like that. And I started looking, and I ended up, I stayed for like 2 more weeks. So I didn't get to witness it other than people sending me pictures. And I started looking at all of the damage. I know just on my golf course, they lost 400 trees, and, you see homes and it's just all kinds of stuff. And so I started thinking, I said, one of the things that I've run into as a financial advisor is people have claims, with insurance companies, and then something happens and they didn't cover everything. And then one day they wake up and they got all these problems, which causes them usually to have to borrow money or do something in order to pay for it. So today we are going to be talking with 2 people that are experts in the field, what's called public adjusting. And they're also contractors and been doing this stuff all of about 40 plus years between them. And then even longer than that. So I wanted to introduce to you right off the bat, Dory Howarth, and also Ty Carter. And so Ty, welcome.
Good morning.
All right. So we're going to talk about, tell us what we're going to talk about today to start with.
Man, well, I'm a public adjuster, like you said, also a general contractor. So we have 2 separate licenses with this state and other states to help negotiate property insurance claims. Commercial and residential.
Okay. And you've been doing this,
18 years.
18 years doing this. And in a minute, we're going to get into how this works. Wanted to introduce Dory. Dory and I met probably 15 years ago, and tell about the family business and your background.
Okay. Good morning. So my dad started our family insurance consulting company, the Howarth Group, probably over 40 years ago when I lived in Tampa, Florida. He actually started out training adjusters at State Farm for 10 years and started working with public adjusters after Hurricane Hugo hit Miami, and kind of just saw that they were a little more accurate in their scope of damage. So, he started his own company. We moved up here to Nashville after the East Nashville tornado in 99. And I've been working with him for a little over 20 years now.
Okay. And you go out and it's part of the inspection and doing that kind of stuff. So guys, I want to kind of start, what have you seen to begin with? This came about as a result of the storm. All right. And, I'll tell you a funny story that I was flying back from Florida, and I got on the airplane. And when I get on the airplane, I'm sitting 2 seats over from this woman, on Southwest, and she was at a seat in between. And I told her, where are you from? It's in Nashville, and she's from St. Louis and all this kind of stuff. And I said, I stayed in Florida for 2 extra weeks because of the ice. And she says, I hate Donald Trump. I mean, it's like, she goes on and on and on. I said, no, I'm not talking about immigration. I'm talking about the ice storm. Okay. So I said, but that's, at least I know your political, direction, now that we're getting ready to fly home. But so what have you seen, Ty, so far happening? You're out there. I know we see trees down and stuff like that, but
yeah. So, I mean, our primary focus is roofing on the contracting side. And so, we've gotten an absolute ton of calls since the ice storm, just from the tree branches. The same thing you've heard about NES getting in all their hot water because all the power was out for so long. We've had just hundreds of calls of people that had their roof damaged, from big limbs, entire trees that were falling, their other property damaged. But we've been kind of seeing a little bit of everything.
So what about what has happened as a result of all of this electrical outage? Where people were out of electricity. What has that done to houses and properties?
Well, I mean, for 2 weeks, nobody could even get in there and do anything. So a lot of the people were leaving that food spoilage, all the normal stuff. Whenever you can't power your house, you had to move out. I don't handle as much on the PA side as like the loss of use money that people
Okay.
get as part of a property claim. We more focus on the property side, the property damage side. But a lot of those people have had claims where there's a large amount of money that's getting paid on those claims just because the people were displaced for so long. So
Okay. So why don't we do this? Explain the difference in an independent adjuster, a adjuster that works for the insurance company, and a public adjuster.
okay. Well, an insurance adjuster that's a W-2 employee for the insurance company is generally a salaried person that's going to make some kind of a salary or a day rate. If they're getting assigned to a different area than they usually work, they may make a per diem or a stipend for working out of town. Independent adjusters typically are brought in. They don't work as a W-2 employee for the insurance company. They'll be a 1099 through an adjusting firm that an insurance carrier like State Farm or Allstate or whoever will bring in when they have too many claims that their local W-2 people can't
Okay.
handle them all. So they'll farm out the adjusting services.
So am I correct if someone says they're an independent adjuster? That doesn't mean that they're independently thinking for you and the person, the insurance company. They still work for the insurance company.
Correct.
Correct. And then we go to the public side.
Mhm.
What do we have there?
So we do the same thing that those two types of adjusters we just mentioned that work for the insurance company, we do those things for the public, right? So we're a public adjuster and we help negotiate and navigate the claim process from start to finish and make sure that everything is adjusted fairly. I mean, one of the things people don't ever think about is we're called adjusters for a reason because both sides have a different estimate and those have to be adjusted.
Right. And so what happens is you guys would go in, and if they have a claim, you would be able to look at it and advise them whether or not it would work. Okay. And you could get it repaired or they underdid it.
Right.
And so, okay, we're talking money. My name's Roy Matlock Jr. You can find out more details by visiting roymatlockjr.com. We'll be right back. Segment 2, today's show is if you're a homeowner or you own a business, you need to listen up because, this could be a big financial decisions coming along, especially if you have claims from the storm, the ice storm, or any of the other storms that were coming into storm season. So I've got Dory Howarth and I've got Ty Carter. They're public adjusters. And what they do is they work with the insured to help make sure that you get the right coverage. I remember back in the early, I've had insurance licenses forever, and I know that insurance companies don't like insurance departments messing with them. And so I had a flood. My car got flooded out at the Brentwood Y, and I left it there. And next thing you know, I come back, it's like it had flooded it. And they kept on and kept on and kept on, and they're like trying to give me not enough money. And, I'm looking up, I'm like, look, the blue book is this, my car is this, and they continued on. And finally I told them, I said, and this was me negotiating. I said, I'm fine. I got a second car. I'll just drive until the insurance department takes care of it. All right. And they settled my claim. And the funny thing about it was that back then, I think it went from 21,000 to 31,000. Okay. Just by not accepting that. Now that was me, not with an adjuster. That was me knowing they didn't want to mess with the insurance department. So are you an enemy? Ty, Dory, are you guys enemies of insurance companies?
I would say no.
No? Okay.
No, I mean, a lot of times claims get underpaid as a function of just the claim amount of claims that come in.
Okay.
And these companies will hire in adjusters from out of state that may have never even looked at a roof before or a large loss before on a commercial building. So the insurance company does their obligation to send people out there to take pictures and write up an estimate and do what they can do. But no, I don't think we're an enemy. I mean, we work with a ton of insurance companies, but the claims need to be adjusted properly. And I mean, I get paid by the insurance companies, right?
Right.
So I don't think that an enemy is the right word. I'm here to make sure the claims are settled appropriately.
Fair. It's
right?
supposed to be if you buy insurance and you have a claim, you should be brought whole. All right. You shouldn't be sitting there after you settled it saying, man, I wish I'd have told them this or whatever. And so it's not an enemy scenario, but at the same time, if the insurance company misses something, all right, then that's what you do, right? So
Right.
tell me so Dory, if you were to go, you go out and you meet with people, what do you do?
So we would typically make sure that the homeowner or business owner already has their original estimate from the insurance company, because we have to know, what we're starting with. And a third of the time they'll write, a good enough estimate, and we just tell them, you're good, and
Okay.
get your repairs done. But
So tell me some examples of what you've seen to where you told me one time that typically what ends up happening when you guys get involved on it.
from
Well, it depends on if you're talking about like a claim that's been underpaid.
Yeah.
And if a claim gets underpaid and they hire us to represent their interest in the claim, then we're going to go through and do a full audit on that claim. We're going to walk through the building. I mean, Dory, in fact, the reason we met was because her and her father, Chuck Howarth, were, I'm not as good. I don't have the eagle eye that they have to go in and find every little nuanced detail of what it is going to take to replace the building, and then all the consequential damages that come from that, to clean everything afterwards, to make sure all the code and OSHA is being adhered to, and just all the different things that cost money in order to indemnify, which is the key word.
Bring back to whole.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, when we get involved, it's an assessment. It's like, hey, let's photograph everything. Let's look at the deficiencies and let's write our own estimates to respond back to that.
Okay. So if someone has been in a storm area, matter of fact, my producer here, Lucas, he was without electricity down in Mississippi for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, and so when you have that, and then the pipes, now it heats back up and all this kind of stuff. When you guys go in, I know you're doing the roof inspection, because unless somebody gets on the roof, they don't really know if they have a problem. But talk about when you walk in, and so I've agreed to hire you to come in, and if I do that, what am I going to have to pay?
Well, if we're performing the work. So again, I'm wearing 2 different hats. So if I'm the contractor on the job that's going to do the repairs, then my PA services come with no charge. I mean, we usually build that into the claim. If somebody has their own contractor, but they just can't negotiate with the insurance company and they need help settling the claim, we can charge a percentage the same way that an attorney would. That's a percentage of the claim that's paid out.
Okay.
Or whatever we can negotiate. Let's say the claim comes in at a certain number already, then we're only going to take a percentage of the difference of the extra amount that we can get them.
Right. So, and you'll go in all of these inspections, you go in and there's no cost to find out on this. Now, who should reach out to you right now? If you were saying right now, we know this area, and then we'll talk more about, storm season, hail damage, and talk about what you were telling me about how, the claim, if you don't do it this year, but you got damage, then it just keeps getting less.
Yeah. So when you talk about the ice storm or anything where they already have a claim that's existing and needs to be audited, and they want to know, hey, they think they're getting the short end of the stick, but they want to know, that's somebody that would reach out to us. The other people, like you're talking about, we'll do property portfolio analysis for commercial property owners specifically, but also, residential as well, where we're going to go in and document just like you would your Rolex watch and all your jewelry and things before, just in case if your fire or your house ever burns down with a fire, you now have the documentation. It's teed up and it's ready to present to the insurance company. We do the same thing with their commercial roofs or just their commercial buildings in general. It's like, hey, we're going to document the conditions as they exist now. We're going to notify the homeowner, because we do a lot of roof maintenance programs, for example. So we'll go out there, give them an assessment, document where the roof stands, so that way, if they do have a claim, one of the biggest problems with insurance companies settling claims is they'll come in just like a medical claim where they say, these are pre-existing conditions. Well, on a roof, it's the same way. If they say, hey, this is old, this damage has been here, this is wear and tear, we can say, I don't know, here's the pictures. We were here, months before the storm.
Gotcha.
So this is new damage.
So realistically, if you own a home, you get an inspection done and it doesn't cost you anything, you may find something that is wrong because you're not up on the roof or looking around doing all the different stuff. And then you, in turn, will have that information. And then you may have a claim you didn't know about. And then if you don't have a claim, at least you have documented what potentially is in your house and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Because most people don't get up on their own roofs. They can't get on
Yeah.
their own roofs. And even if it's a flat roof, people have fear of heights for whatever reason. They don't do that. So when you say they may have a claim that they don't know about, that's common. There's so many storms come through. Somebody's on vacation. They don't even realize something hit their house or what have you. Those damages may disqualify them from being able to get an insurance policy renewed when renewal time comes around. So they need to know if you have
Right.
a claim that you've already experienced that you don't know about. That's that other piece that you're talking
Yep.
about.
You talk about getting on a roof. So my father was one of these that he lived to 90, and my mother just passed away. She made it to 102, and they bought their first rental property, which was a duplex, when they were 19. All right, and so they had rental properties the whole time. And so I'm one of these guys that, hey, rentals are great. I call it a business. That's what I always tell people on the radio. It's not passive income. It's a business. All right. And so, but my dad, when he retired, had like 40 houses. And so his handyman passed away and that would do stuff. And so my dad's 85 and he's up on top of the roof doing his roof inspections
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And we're like, Dad, you're 85. I mean, seriously, you don't need to be doing that anymore. So, but anyhow, yeah, so he wasn't afraid of that. He wasn't afraid at 85, but he'd been doing it since he was 19, going around, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so what we're talking about today is protecting yourself. I talk about creating a great defense, and the defense is protecting your income, your assets, making sure that you don't make mistakes. And one of the big mistakes right now is you may have some damage to your property and don't even know it. So go to roymatlockjr.com. We've got all the details, and we will get you squared away on getting your home taken care of. All right, if you're just tuning in, Roy Matlock Jr. here, and we've got a different show today. I went through several weeks ago. You can go to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hour podcast, and I covered the defense. And when you build a financial plan, it's always, I have kind of a system. My first thing is we look to get educated. And the reason I've been doing the radio show for many, many years is because mostly for my existing clients. All right. And what happens is, we have stock markets that move in the wrong direction. And rather than panicking, they're saying, hey, they call me and they say, hey, I got a little cash. Can we go and buy in? And so what happens is the more educated you are about your money, the less mistakes you're going to make. And so we try to do that. And then as an advisory firm, we're always looking to protect and provide advice that typically is not being brought by maybe another financial advisor, which thus creates our value proposition. So that's the first thing. Then we go to creating a defense and creating a plan. The defense is insurance driven. It's mistake avoidance. We protect our income, life insurance, term insurance mostly. We protect our assets. That's your property and casualty coverage. That'll be your home, your car, your personal liability coverage. We talk about ways of saving money, raising deductibles as we have an emergency fund or dropping collision, all these different things. If you own a business, business insurance is very, in many cases, your business insurance allows you to do business. And so once you do this, the first thing you want to be able to do is not say something like, when I have a claim, someone says, is your insurance going to cover it? All right. And so we see this all the time to where you buy it. I see it many, many times where if you were in a wreck and you had an expensive car, your liability coverage is not enough. And then the next thing you know, you're working and getting garnished your check or whatever it may be. And so when you look at all this stuff, that's the basis of building a financial plan. You get your defense in place. All right. And then once we get our defense in place, then we go into the offense. We start accumulating money. We do retirement plans. We do the college for the kids, do all that kind of stuff. So today we're talking about something that I think is very important. I brought two experts on the show to talk about claims, especially as it relates to what we've had happen. Probably the biggest, disaster in Nashville and the surrounding area. I don't know of any time that I've been around that this ice storm that was something worse. And so I have Dory Howarth and I have Ty Carter on, who are experts in the field of adjusting. And so if you're tuning in right now and you own a business and you have property or you have a home that you own, you need to listen up. And so we've been talking about different, things that occur in the insurance claims process. What about the policies themselves? What do you see that people miss?
I mean, right now, specifically with roofing, the landscape is changing rapidly to where hail and wind is a big covered peril for exteriors of these buildings, roofing, siding, those types of things. Now insurance doesn't want to be in the roof replacement industry, right? That's just so year by year, every year that goes by, there's less coverage. There's more ways that they can, like you said, larger deductibles or maybe different types of language introduced into the policy where they have only so long to file. For example, like the statute of limitations on these policies is gone. Now they're very strict. There's companies you can only file a claim for hail or wind for 6 months after the storm happens. If you don't know about it, kick rocks.
And so tell them about the tech that you guys have that tell us about hail as an example. What's the difference? I mean, is a big one worse than a little one? Tell me what the story is here. I didn't know this. I thought it was pretty interesting. So
yeah, I mean, just quick, the anatomy of a hailstorm, like the higher the hail is in the cloud when it freezes and comes down, if it flash freezes, it's kind of like sonic ice that you can chew on real easy. So when that hail hits, it doesn't transfer into the building materials. It doesn't transfer that energy and damage the building materials the same way. Even if it's a 3-inch stone, I mean, it still just crushes and shatters, as you can imagine. Something that forms lower in the cloud at 32 degrees is a good, solid, clear stone that you can see. It's not as opaque with that white, cloudy look to it. That can be a much smaller stone. A 1-inch stone can do some serious damage to those same building materials. So the size isn't everything.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, am I correct that you can get, the neighborhoods that got hurt from hail?
Well, to an extent, the National Weather Service documents what they can see, and then what they can see on the radar. So when it's purple on the radar, they know there's ice in the clouds, but they don't know exactly where that falls, and it can be offset by several miles. In 2021, Spring Hill got smashed with large hail that all the maps said it was about 3 miles to the south of where it really was. So it's close, but then they rely on trained spotters and what now social media, people posting pictures. Hey, we're here at, so-and-so chapel right here off this road and that road. And so, yeah, we know based on those, and comparing those with what the weather data shows from the National Weather Service. Yeah.
So if someone had this, they're here in Nashville or they're, like I said, out there in Mississippi and that, all over the place where this ice storm hit, give us the step-by-step what they should do. They can obviously, if they go to our website, we've got a form there. They can fill that form out, which will reach right out to you. And it gives a little more detail. We've got kind of a overview of the difference in how claims are adjusted and things like that. But tell them what would happen. Give me an overview, like step by step. They pick the phone up and call you guys.
Well, the ice storm is going to be different than hail. I mean, if they've already, if they're right now, since it's been several weeks since that ice storm, they may already have claim paperwork in their hand. If they call Centennial Roofing or Centennial Construction, if they get a hold of us through you, however they do it, we're going to go out there and look at what that settlement, where it stands right now. And then we're going to, like Dory does, go in there and document everything that we can, see where the deficiencies are, see if we can add value to that claim or not. If we can't, like she said, if we're if they got a fair settlement, then we're not gonna inject ourselves into that claims process.
Right.
If they don't, we will, and we'll look and see what else there is on the table.
So give me an example of some of a claim that went bad.
The one I was one that Dory worked with me on, after the 2020 tornado. I'll try to be brief with this, but I think everybody remembers. I mean, that thing was massive. It killed people, went from Germantown on the ground all the way to Cookeville. So that's a long spread. That's the biggest tornado I've ever seen personally. But in Mount Juliet, where I live, it took out a elementary school. About 100 yards away from that elementary school, I got called in on a claim that insurance had come in and paid them a couple $100,000 for their roof already. So we weren't involved with the roof claim. But my friend that is a distributor, an installer for Pella windows, had been called out to look at the windows, and they weren't giving them any coverage because there was pre-existing conditions where the windows had already fogged up in the past, and the maintenance guy wanted to say, this was a pre-existing condition. They had what's called non-concurrent causation language in their policy that said if there's two factors like bad installation or defective work prior to the storm, it negates anything that happens in the storm. So they were dead in the water, and we had already put $20,000 plus of our own money, hiring our own engineers and appraisers and everybody else that needed to be involved. And the attorneys were telling me, hey man, this one's dead in the water, this non-concurrent causation language. Well, we had another engineer come out and identify like where the building had been racked, where the actual frame of the window, and didn't have anything to do with the windows being fogged. He said, hey, this needs to be addressed. These windows need to be reset at a minimum, which then obviously they have to be replaced as well. So even when the lawyers were telling me, hey, this one's dead in the water, and I just wouldn't let it go because I didn't want to let my money go. And they said, no, we'll throw up a Hail Mary at it. We got every single window covered, all of them.
So how big a claim was that?
It was about $700,000.
700,000 claims. So if you're a business owner, I'm bringing this up, guys, because when I saw this, I thought, man, there is going to be some problems in Nashville and around where people don't understand, because I'm an amateur when it comes to construction. I know about money. I don't know about this. Visit RoyMatlockJr.com and just look at the resource page. We have it right there about taking care of your home. All right, we're back in our final segment, a different show today. My goal is, it's always been to, educate people when it comes to money. And I always want to do that because I believe that if given the right information, most people can make good decisions. The challenge is what you don't know can really hurt you. The old saying, what you don't know won't hurt you. What you don't know can really hurt you. And so the idea behind, if you're listening in right now, or if you have a friend or family member that got hit by some of the damage that just went through Nashville and all the surrounding states, just in the last month when it came to the hail and ice and stuff like that, we've got two experts that deal in the public adjusting area, and they're also general contractors, which allows them, they understand the way things are built. And so anyway, I've got Dory and I've got Ty on here, and you can visit RoyMatlockJr.com and get a free inspection. And the reason you're going to want to get the inspection is because there could be damage that you don't even know exists to your property or your business. And if you've got commercial holdings, or you're like maybe my father back in the day when he had 40 rental properties, this is something that you definitely don't want to get left behind and find out there's damage you didn't even file for. And there's deadlines to do the filing. And then what happens many times, the insurance company comes out and they give you a estimate. The estimate is given by the insurance company's employee or an independent adjuster that works for the insurance company. And I'm not out here to say insurance companies are out to rip you off. We'll say that one of the things that insurance companies do, and their biggest advertising that they can give, is to pay a claim. All right. So that's, word of mouth advertising. But at the same time, mistakes are made. And then you're sitting there with additional cost that happened to your home you didn't even know about. And so we have experts in here that represent you. And so, Dory, tell the story about how big a difference uh, being a private adjuster can mean, in damage and stuff like that. The story you just told me.
The story I just told. Um, yeah, so it's the biggest one we've ever done, but I personally have rarely met an estimate that I haven't at least been able to double. But this was years ago. So our family company did commercial and residential property claims in the whole southeastern region. So we had a 3-building condo claim down in Orange Beach, Alabama. Um, Roof included, but we found some damage to the exterior finishes as well, which was stucco or ephes. I can't remember which one. I think their original estimate was somewhere around $500,000, and we ultimately ended up getting them almost $26 million on that claim.
That
Mind blown.
Yeah, it blows your mind. I mean, so you're sitting there and you're like, here's the other thing you gotta think about. So how devastating would it have been to the owner of that building to have gotten 500,000? And then, I mean, who knows? I mean, it could be like that thing down in Miami that the building just fell, and you don't have anybody that's a professional looking. So anyway, it's crazy. So
yeah, I mean, they have CapEx money that they put away for these projects for deferred maintenance that goes on over time, and they don't even realize like a lot of that deferred maintenance is accelerated from storms.
Oh yeah. So basically what you're saying is that, that you get this damage that you don't know about, and then your maintenance is you got to replace something, and you probably could have been covered, but you didn't know it. Is that what we're saying?
That's it.
Yeah. So what these guys do, if you're listening right now, I brought them on because I see, I've had people that their house burns down, and then they tell me, oh yeah, but this didn't get fixed and that didn't get fixed, or they have damage, all this different stuff. I remember, crazy. I was driving my next door neighbor, when I was living out in Brentwood. I pull out of my driveway and I see the lightning strike this house. All right. And I mean, it struck it, and it was during the day. I immediately, and it blew my mind that when it struck, it just inflamed like instantaneously. I mean, it was the craziest. I've never seen anything like it. And, I called the fire department, and this thing got destroyed. All right. And you start thinking about all of the stuff inside that you don't remember, right? And so you were talking earlier about prepping people. So when they go, if they have a claim in the future, what should they be doing?
Now or after the claim?
But before the claim. I mean,
Right.
it's like now.
Yeah, just a portfolio evaluation. I mean, look, if you want to get them looked at to document where the buildings sit right now, especially on the roof where they never go, to determine what the difference is between maintenance items and claimable items. There's just so many. That's such a nuanced thing that anybody that's not in this industry doesn't really know the difference.
Right. And as simple as probably walking around. Do you guys walk around and take pictures?
I mean, just the owner, it's smart to just take your phone and just do a walkthrough video of your interior and exterior just to have on your phone.
Yeah. And then items in there that, when you're, you get a certain amount of coverage, for, items, personal property in there. Many cases, you need to do a review. We've got on our website, one of our referral partners that you can just get an analysis and make sure, I mean, with inflation and, everything that's going on. I mean, if you have your, I talk about this on the car, but if you have your minimum liabilities on car insurance right now, you are going to get destroyed if you have a wreck and it's your fault. I mean, you're going to be getting sued. So the insurance company, it's really easy. If you've got a claim of 200, hurt somebody and you've got liability, the insurance company, they're going to pay the liability out and you're on your own after that, and you get sued, and people don't think about that. And, I see it all the time. That's why I'm always telling everyone, you need to have a personal umbrella policy. All right. I was in an accident, and it was one of these deals that I had stopped on the interstate, and my foot came off the brake, and I rolled up under this truck. All right. And my son was in the back seat. I thought he was something had spilt, and I just looked back, and they sued me. All right. And then not only they sue me, it's a big truck and I'm in my car, and they sue me for 200. This guy's like, I can't even, his
Stop.
back was messed up. It just went on and on. I mean, the dude said he couldn't even have sex. I mean, it was all this kind of stuff. And so anyhow, I had a personal umbrella policy. The insurance company calls me and they say, "Hey, can we see your phone records?" Okay, to make sure I wasn't like on the phone. All right. I mean, I was idle. I idled like 3, 4, 5 feet, and I turned it over. They interviewed me for an hour. This thing went on for like 2.5 years. Okay,
Golly.
and guess how much time I put into it? An hour. I forgot about it because when you buy insurance, you're paying a premium to the insurance company to take on the risk that you have. All right. That's with life insurance, the risk if you die. All right. That your family's going to have something. If you buy car insurance, if you hit somebody or you tear your car up, you're saying, look, I'm willing to pay X amount of dollars per month or per year to be able to have the protection. You buy an annuity, it gives you a lifetime income guarantee so you don't outlive your money. Everything goes around. You go to the bank, you pay FDIC insurance because you want to make sure it doesn't go away. Then you have your insurance policy. And I can assure you that most people have never read their insurance policy one time. All right. I used to do call-ins with Jerry House, who was the big country music, and I would call in and he says, "This is Roy Matlock. He sits at home every night before he goes to bed and he reads life insurance policies." That's what he does. All right. And so, and the funny thing about it is I have read a bunch of insurance policies, and what you find is you're like, I didn't realize that, or maybe I should have added this, or maybe I didn't need this. And then you have a claim, and then here we go. All right. Now we got a claim, and they come back and they offer you $500,000. And you should have gotten 27 million at the farthest side, or in the case with what you talked about, a $200,000 payment when there was an additional 700,000 because no one knew. And so we're talking today as we finish the show up with Ty Carter and Dory Howarth, and they are public adjusters. So I'm going to make a recommendation to you. Go to roymatlockjr.com right now. If you own a home or you have a business and you have, rental properties, whatever it may be, they will come out and do an inspection. All right. That inspection costs you nothing. And you will find out one of two things. You're going to find out A, you don't have any damage, or B, you do and should turn it in. And potentially you're going to find out that the insurance company missed things, and they're going to come in there and they're going to work with you to get the very most out of your claim, especially now in, Nashville and the surrounding areas. We've had, the worst storm, I guess. And I don't know when. Is it the very worst storm? Will we say this is the biggest damage or not?
Oh yeah, I think that tornado did more than that.
It
But for ice storms, yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got about 30 seconds, and so close it out. What do you give me the last word, Ty?
If you want to protect your investments, have us take a look at them. I mean, if nothing more than to document if a claim ever does come, what you had prior. So if you do have a claim, you have a leak, you think, hey, wonder if I can claim this, give us a holler. We'll come look at it and see, hey, there's a lot of nuanced things that help get from a leak to a full roof. So,
yeah. And so what you guys have is you inspect it. You have a team of people. You do the inspection. If it goes further than that, you even have attorneys that deal in this kind of stuff. If it went that far, you got engineers, you got all that kind of stuff. And the main thing that I think is beneficial is the fact that you guys are not only public adjusters, but you're also contractors and you understand that kind of stuff. So, hey, thanks for coming out on the show. I hope this, for some of you out there listening, it's very beneficial to you. Go to roymatlockjr.com. Look at the resource page. We've got all the details, information. They'll pick the phone up and call you back. Thanks for listening.